In this video, I will show you how to create an interactive web map in QGIS using the plugin QGIS2WEB. I'll show you how to configure your layers and the plugin QGIS2WEB, how to publish a map, and how to share it with others. Here in QGIS, I have a project that has two layers, a point layer and a polygon layer, and also a base map from OpenStreetMap. I downloaded the data from these two layers using ArcGIS server. I'll leave the link and the information of these layers in the description of this video. Also, there's some test data that I have added to the layers, so I'll put a note too about that in the description. Before I install the plugin QGIS2WEB, I want to show you the attribute table of both of these layers, just to show you the different fields. For this example, I'm going to use this field hospital name and also the field wheelchair. And then Peru provinces layer, I open the attribute table. There is of course less fields in here. I'll use the field department or provinces and also the capital of each of these provinces. I already added some symbology and labeling to speed a little bit this tutorial. Okay, now that I'm ready, I can save my project before I install QGIS2WEB. To install QGIS2WEB, I go to the plugin section, and then I open Manage and Install Plugins. Here, if you don't have it installed, you go to Not Install. In my case, I already have it installed, but this is the plugin that you're looking for. Actually telling me that there's a new version available, so I'm gonna upgrade. In your case, if this is the first time you're trying to install it, just click on Install. Okay, now that in my case, my QGIS2WEB plugin have been reinstalled, I'm just gonna close this window. And now we are going to open the plugin. Okay, to open it, you can go to the Web tab, and here you're gonna see QGIS2WEB, and then we open Create Web Map. In this first window, in the tab Layers and Group, we can see the layers that we have in our project. In this case, this is the point layer, and I also have the polygon layer and the base map. Here we can set up our pop-ups fields. We can also make sure to mark visible if we want to show this layer in our web map. We can use cluster or not. For this project, I'm going to use cluster. Since there's several points or hospital points, I would like to use the cluster option. And of course, I'm gonna use pop-ups. Here we see in the pop-up fields, the fields from the layer. The only ones that I wanted to show are the hospital name and the wheelchair. In this case, I'm gonna mark them as hidden if I don't want to see them. In this case, for the hospital name, I do want to see it, so I'll mark it as an inline label, always visible. But I want to explain this other option of non-label. If you mark no label, the information about this field, in this case the name of the hospital, will be shown in the pop-up, but the name of the field won't. For this project or this example, I want to show the name of the field, so I'm going to leave it as inline label. And the same for the wheelchair. I want to show the name of the field, and then I want to show, of course, the information about that field. And then the rest are going to be hidden fields. For the second layer, I'm going to do the same. I already put hidden fields in the fields that I don't want to show. I'm going to use no label for this field, so I can just see the name of the province. But then I'm going to use the name of this field, capital, and I'm going to show the information about it. Then for the base map, we need to make sure we mark it as visible if you want to see it. Before we pass to the next tab, we can use the update preview. Before we do click on update preview, I want to show you that you have the option to use open layers or leaflet. In this case, I'm going to use leaflet because leaflet is recommended to use when working with a simple project. Now I'm going to click on update preview. Okay, here in the preview, you can see the base map and the layers. We see the cluster option. We zoom into some of these areas, we can see the actual points. If we don't want to have the pop-up for the provinces, we can turn them off. I'm going to click on one of the hospital points. And then here we see the name of that field, hospital name, and wheelchair. We can also see the layers. We're going to go next to the appearance tab to show you how this have been set up. For the pop-ups though, there's a few changes that I would like to make. For example, I want to rename the field, or at least rename the alias as hospital name, and just put a space in between those two words. And I'm gonna put a capital W for wheelchair. So I'm gonna do that in Q. I'm gonna go back to the project to do that. But before I do that, I'm gonna go to the appearance tab, and I'm gonna show you here that we can add a title. We can also add an abstract. Here you can see the layer list that we can see here is expanded right now. We can make it expanded, or we can have it collapse. Right now, of course, it wasn't expanded. We'll go back to this after I made the changes in the fields for the pop-up information. Okay, so I'm gonna close this window for now. It doesn't matter if I close the window, these changes that I made are gonna be saved, but I'm gonna save the project. And now I'm going to go to the hospital point layer, and I'm gonna open the properties. And there's two ways to do this. You can change the alias directly on the fields tab, and we can add the alias here, or we can go to the attribute form and we can select the field that we want to change or add an alias, and then we can just type, in this case, name. We can just type hospital name and then apply. And I'm gonna do the same for wheelchair. Capital W so that way it looks a little better. Then apply and okay. I'm gonna save my project one more time, and now to add that title for our web map, I go to the project tab section and I open the properties, and I go to general, and here in project title we can add a name. I'm gonna call it QGIS2WEB tutorial 2025. Something else that I would like you to note is that this selection color, it is the selection color that we have seen when I was hovering on top of the provinces. We can change it to different colors if you want to. I'm gonna leave it as yellow. I like it like that. But yeah, I just wanted to let you know where you can change that if you like to. Okay, now I'm gonna click on apply and okay, and then I'm gonna go back to QGIS2Web. So I go back again to the web tab, QGIS2Web. I'm gonna double check that my fields are all the same, hidden fields, inline label, that's the way I want it. The same for that one. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna disable the pop-up for this layer because it seems like it gets in my way. We have a labeling for that layer, so that helps. And now I'm gonna go to appearance tab, and I'm going to select title in the, let's say, lower left. I don't have an abstract. Now select collapse for the layer list. And there's more options here that you can try if you like to. I'm just gonna do a few more here. There's a measuring tool. We can change it to imperial. There is a layer search too. In case there may be some cases where you have several layers, so you can use a layer search. In this case, there is only two, so I don't see the need for it. We can show the pop-ups at hover, or you can click on them. I'm gonna leave it as a hover. Highlight as when we hover, that's when we see the white, or the yellow selection. The template, it is full screen on canvas size. I'm gonna leave it as a full screen. And you can also change the different type of extents here. If you want to zoom level max or minimum, you can change it here. And for the purpose of this example, I'll leave it the way it is. Before I go to the section of export, I'm gonna click again on update preview. And here, now we see that we have the title here on the lower left. Again, you can change the location. We have the layers list collapse, which I think it looks better. Now I'm gonna zoom in a little bit to select one of the points or hospital points. And then I can hover or I can click on it and we can see here the changes that we made. Hospital name, now it is in English, and then we have wheelchair with a capital W. One that I miss is the search tool. Let's go and add a search tool. And I think I did it for search layers, but there's a search, unless it's the same. Oh, it's address search. Let's check on that. We can turn that one on, and I'm gonna update the preview one more time. Now we can see here the search tool. I think this is a very useful tool to have. Okay, now that my map is ready, I'm going to click on export or the export tab. Here we're gonna export this web map to a folder. So you can navigate to the location where you wanna save it. And here I'm gonna add it to my folder QGIS2WEB, and I'm gonna leave the precision as default. And now I'm gonna click on export. Okay, now that my web map has been exported, I'm gonna go to the browser. I'm gonna open the browser. And here we can see our map with the couple tools that we added, the layer list. We can turn on and off the layers. If I get closer again to one of the points, we can see the pop-up, and we can also use the search tool if we want to. Let's say we're looking for the capital of Peru. It's another option that we have. I really like the search tool. Okay, now that you have published your map, you want to share it. So here we see that we didn't use any servers or accounts. So technically this web map gets exported to a folder and it creates an HTML file. In order for you to share this web map, you have to share a folder, and I'm going to show you which folder. So I'm going to go into my File Explorer. Okay, here in File Explorer, we can see that folder that I just created within QGIS2WEB. And then here we have this index HTML file. In order to open the web map, I do click on index and then the web map will open. And then you can see here the address has, the beginning of the address is kind of like related to my computer. To share with others, then you have to share this entire folder. You can send it via email, or depending on the size, you can share it in some of the clouds such as OneDrive, Google Drive, or others. And then the person who received this folder will have to open the folder and open the index. So I would definitely recommend to send the entire folder. That way we don't break any of the connections. That's all I have. I hope this video was helpful.